Hi BBA students, so today we're going to look at the topic of cardiovascular disease or CVD, which forms as part of the topic 5 on health and disease. And the specification point that gets covered here is knowing, so describing exactly how the process of the condition is formed within the body and how that happens through a number of interaction of different factors which occurs within the body. So that in a separate question or even a separate video, you will be able to look at the good and the disadvantages of some of the treatments of the disease. Okay, so we're just going to start on looking at how this condition forms in the body. And it's quite important to know about this topic because it affects quite a large number of people in the UK. It's a condition that affects the arteries of the blood vessels. And so I always like to remember that artery starts with an A and a way starts with an A as well. So that's how I can remember that it's affecting the blood vessels, which is essentially taking the blood away from the heart. Okay? So this happens due to a number of risk factors. Now, some of those risk factors we are able to manage ourselves and we can change through living a more healthy lifestyle. But some of them are a bit more permanent and not necessarily something we can do about. For example, our age or our gender are things that we cannot change. So the main thing really that has an impact on the arteries is a build-up of really bad, highly saturated cholesterol. Okay, and those tend to be diets that are high in low-density lipoproteins within the food. So that LDL is the bad fat and HDL is the good one. Okay, so this cholesterol will build up, and what will happen as a result of lifestyle things, sometimes we stress. Okay, alcohol would be another one that would affect it. So part of the unhealthy diet. Also something like smoking would have an impact on the blood vessel. So what would happen is all of these risk factors would directly impact the artery in this way. So if this is the artery here and the blood is flowing through the artery this way, first of all, the lining of the, it's called the endothelium. First of all, the lining of the artery gets damaged here. So let's say we're experiencing high stress or, for example, smoking. This will start having an impact on starting to damage the artery wall here. And then on top of that, if we start eating fatty foods, the cholesterol will then start to deposit down in the artery. Okay, so these are called fatty deposits. Okay, over time, this here just gets worse and more fatty deposits will build up. And eventually, we will also have little bits of calcium that will start to harden this area. And once it's reached that stage, we call it a plaque. Okay, so first of all, we've got this damage here on the artery, then the cholesterol building up, causing these fatty deposits. Eventually, we've got calcium that forms the plaque. And what you'll notice is happening to, we call this area here. So if I had a hose pipe, that area there of the hose pipe, I would call that area the lumen of the artery. So the lumen here is getting more and more narrow as this is building up. So eventually the blood is really going to struggle to get through the artery. Now, as we know that our red blood cells are the cells that carry oxygen, they will really struggle to get through to all of our main organs, for example, to our heart, and sometimes also to our brain, so that will really struggle to get through. And as a result, there will not be enough oxygen being delivered to very crucial parts of our body. Okay, so if this eventually forms such a big plaque that it starts forming blood clots, okay, so no blood can no longer get through, that's when we have cardiovascular disease, where this can have directly impact the heart and cause a heart attack. Or sometimes this clot that forms here can break free, travel to other parts of the circulatory system, and sometimes end up in the brain. And that's how we would get a stroke. Okay, so it's therefore very important that we manage our lifestyle factors in terms of these and make sure that we get plenty of exercise. Okay, so that summarizes the topic of how cardiovascular disease is caused, and you've had a look at the number of different factors that will cause that.